Hello, dear students. Today we are going to study Geography Chapter 5 Major Domains of the Earth. Introduction of the chapter. Dear students, as you know, our environment consists of four parts or realms: the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the atmosphere, and the biosphere. The lithosphere is the solid surface of the earth, the land masses on which humans, animals, and plants live. The oceans, seas, rivers, and the other water bodies constitute the hydrosphere because hydro means water. The atmosphere is a mixture of gases that surrounds the earth, the part of earth where land, air, and water meet, and where plants and animals live is called the biosphere. Lithosphere, the realm of rocks. The earth is made up of different layers. The innermost layer of the earth is called the core. It is the hottest layer of the earth. The mantle is a layer of liquid rock that surrounds the core. The crust is the uppermost part of the earth. It is solid and rocky. The crust and the rigid upper layers of the mantle together form the lithosphere. Continental lithosphere forms the land and oceanic lithosphere forms the seafloor. The lithosphere is not just one single continuous layer but made up of fragments called lithospheric plates. These plates float on the liquid part of the mantle and often keep colliding or scraping with one another. The lithosphere is important as it comprises of land on which the human beings lived. It consists of different rocks and minerals including coal, precious stones and minerals used in production of energy. Continents. A huge landmass on the earth are called the continents. The earth has seven major continents: Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. First, we will study about Asia. Asia lies in the northern hemisphere and covers one third of the earth's surface. It is the largest and the most populous continent in the world. It shares its border with Africa and Europe in the west, the Pacific Ocean in the east, and the Arctic Ocean in the north. It is located entirely in the northern hemisphere. It is located to the east of the prime meridian in the eastern hemisphere, and the Tropic of Cancer passes through it. Asia is separated from Europe by the Ural Mountains, the Black Sea, and the Caspian Sea. The major geographical features of this continent are the Himalayas and the Ural Mountains. Second is Europe. Europe is the sixth largest continent in the world. It lies in the west of Asia. The continent Europe and Asia together are called Eurasia. Europe is a peninsula with water bodies surrounding it on three sides. It is bounded by the Arctic Ocean in the north, the Atlantic Ocean in the west, and the Mediterranean Sea and Africa in the south. The prime meridian and the Arctic Ocean pass through this continent. This continent is surrounded by high mountains and vast plains. The Alps are the highest mountain range in Europe. Mount Blanc is the highest peak of the Alps. Next is Africa. Africa is the second largest continent in the world. The Suez Canal separates it from Asia, and the Strait of Gibraltar separates it from Europe. The Atlantic Ocean borders it in the west, the Indian Ocean in the east, and the Mediterranean Sea in the north. The equator passes through its center. Therefore, Africa lies partly in the northern hemisphere and partly in the southern hemisphere. The Tropic of Cancer passes through northern Africa, and the Tropic of Capricorn passes through southern Africa. The Sahara Desert, the largest hot desert in the world, is located in this continent. Next is North America. It is the third largest continent of the world and it lies entirely in the northern hemisphere. It is bordered by the Atlantic Ocean in the east and the Pacific Ocean in the west. In the south, it is connected to South America by the Isthmus of Panama. About 75% of North America comprises of Canada and USA. The Caribbean islands, also called the West Indies, and Greenland cover the rest of North America. The geographical features of North America include deserts, temperatures, forests, taiga vegetation, and grasslands. South America. It is the fourth largest continent in size and fifth most populated continent in the world. Most of the continent lies in the southern hemisphere. The equator passes through the northernmost part of the continent. It is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean in the east and the Pacific Ocean in the west. The geography of South America is dominated by the Andes mountain range, which is the longest mountain chain in the world, and the Amazon River, which is the largest river in the world. South America is situated in the western hemisphere. Next, Australia. Australia lies entirely in the southern hemisphere. It is the smallest continent and is also called the island continent. It is located to the southeast of Asia. It is bordered by the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. New Zealand, New Guinea, and several other islands in the Pacific Ocean together are known as Australasia. In terms of geographical features, Australia has rainforests, deserts, savanna vegetation, and temperate forest. Some of the important geographical features are the Great Diving Range, the Central Lowland, the Western Desert, and the Great Barrier Reef. Antarctica. Antarctica is the fifth largest continent. It is the windiest, driest, and iciest place on the earth. It is located around the South Pole. Because of the thick ice cover that covers most of the continent, it is also known as the White Continent or the Frozen Continent. Antarctica is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Antarctic Ocean, and the Indian Ocean. The continent has provided great scope for the scientific study of weather and lends itself as an ideal base for the establishment of scientific stations. To several nations of the world, India's two research stations in Antarctica are called Maitri and Dakshin Gangotri. Hydrosphere. Hydrosphere, the realms of water. The earth looks blue and watery when seen from the space. All the water on the surface of the earth, including oceans, lakes, glaciers, water vapors, and clouds, comprise the hydrosphere. We know that two-thirds of the surface of the earth is covered with water in the form of seas and oceans. Oceans are vast expanses of water, seas, and comparatively smaller. Let us learn about the oceans of the earth. First, Pacific Ocean, second, Atlantic Ocean, third, Indian Ocean, fourth, Arctic Ocean, and fifth, Southern Ocean. First, we'll study about Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is the deepest and the largest ocean in the world. It is bounded on the west by Asia and Australia. It is bounded on the east by North and South America. The Pacific Ocean covers nearly one-third of the Earth's surface. The ocean was named by the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, and it means calm or tranquil. The international date line passes through the Pacific Ocean. The Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the world's ocean, is located in this ocean. The Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is the second largest ocean. It is S-shaped and stretches longitudinally from the north to south. Its coastline is indented, which provides good sites for sheltered harbors. The shipping routes across the North Atlantic Ocean connect the two major manufacturing regions, North America and Western Europe. It is the busiest ocean for trade and commerce. The Indian, Atlantic, and Southern Ocean. The Indian Ocean is the only ocean named after a country. It is bordered by Africa in the west, Asia in the north, and Australia in the east. Arctic Ocean is the smallest ocean. It lies within the Arctic Circle. The Bering Strait connects it with the Pacific Ocean. Because of the Arctic Ocean remains frozen for most of the year. The Southern Ocean encircles the continent of Antarctica. It comprises the southern portion of the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Indian Oceans. Atmosphere, the realm of air. The surface of the earth is surrounded by a blanket of gases called the atmosphere. The atmosphere appears to be very thin, but there are actually 5 distinct layers in the atmosphere, each within its own characteristic. Structure of atmosphere. The atmosphere has a layered structure. Layers form in the atmosphere as a result of temperature changes that occur at various altitudes. There are 5 distinct layers, which are the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the exosphere. The troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. It is the layer nearest to the surface of the earth and helps in human habitation. It is the most important layer of the atmosphere. It contains almost 90% of the total air of the atmosphere. The temperature in this layer decreases by 1 degree for every 165 meters of elevation. Elevation means height. Clouds, lightning, and other weather events occur in this layer. Importance of atmosphere. The atmosphere contains ozone, which protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiation of the sun. It is thin enough to allow the rays of the sun to reach us, and it also prevents the internal heat from escaping the earth. It helps to maintain an even temperature. It contains oxygen 21%, which is essential for respiration. The nitrogen 78%, which is the air present in the air, is a source of protein for the living organisms. The carbon dioxide present in the air is used by green plants to make food, that is carbohydrates. The water vapor is present in the air prevents our body from drying up and is a source of drinking water. The density of air decreases evenly as an increase in height. Air pressure is maximum at the surface. It decreases as the altitude increases. Means that as we go higher and higher towards the higher and higher, the air increases and the amount of oxygen decreases. Biosphere, the realm of living. Biosphere, the realm of living organisms. The biosphere can be defined as the relatively narrow belt of living organisms found a little above the surface and a little below the surface of the earth. It comprises the regions between the surface and the atmosphere of the earth. It is occupied by living organisms. The type of organisms and where they are found depends on the climate. This is why the vegetation and animal life varies in different parts of the earth. For example, animals with thick fur are found in cold regions and cacti grow in deserts. While rice grows in the tropical region, the distinct zones of the biosphere, each with its own climate, plant, and animal life, is called ecosystem. There is a natural balance among all the components of the biosphere. However, to meet the increasing demands of a rapidly growing population, the natural resources are being recklessly utilized. With ever increasing deforestation to make a way for agriculture, land, industries, and settlements, the environment is being polluted. So, we must use our resources efficiently and preserve them for our future generation. This is the end of the chapter. Next, we will come up with chapter number 6.